All right, the meeting's now being live streamed on YouTube.
So what?
They're saying good morning to you. You want to say good morning back?
Oh, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Karen.
Good morning.
Good morning there, Queen.
You're gonna have to wear a mask. And they were like, was it next glasses started?
Okay, everyone.
Oh.
Can everyone hear me okay?
Yeah,
Yes,
read you
sir.
loud and clear.
Okay, very good. Okay, we have the Madison County Budget Committee meeting here at 9 o'clock at the Madison County Finance Office. And we have a quorum present, I believe. I need a motion to make a determination on the record that meeting electronically is necessary to protect public health, safety, and welfare in light of the coronavirus.
So moved.
We
Second.
have Warner Turner. Do we have a second? And
Second.
White makes a second. We need to have a roll call vote. Okay, Warner Turner,
Yes.
Ann White,
Yes.
Doug Stevenson, yes. Jason Compton,
Yes.
Mike Taylor. Apparently Mike's not here or online, so we'll move right forward. We have Kathy Blunt here, I hope.
Yes, sir. I'm here.
Okay, let's see what we got here. And I tell you what, Michelle, let's go to revenues first, if you don't mind. Kathy, we're gonna go to revenues first here.
Sure.
I threw Michelle off. She's not gonna be happy. Okay. Where do you see these revenues? I mean, just in your best guess or best guesstimate or whatever, where do you see this?
Well, I can tell you this. I've opened my doors back up, and since the doors have been open, of course, we're social distancing, but since the doors have been open like yesterday and the day before, it's been unreal. My cost collections department, we have collected all kind of money, and they're calling and saying, hey, we got our stimulus check and we know we've got to pay now. We know you're open. I think people were holding back their money because we were closed and they thought they didn't have to pay, and people are starting to pay again.
Okay.
Fantastic.
Let me ask you this. I'm just asking out of curiosity.
Okay.
Is there, I know this sounds so far-fetched. Is there a way to, for the amount of money that you have collected, and when we first started this numerous years ago, even with Judy Barnhill, that's even before, I mean, y'all had just an unbelievable amount of money to collect. Is there a way to even just with the hard times coming to say, I'm just asking, does government have the way to say, oh, we're only going to take 75% of the money that you owe. We're going to take 60% of the money that you owe. Is there a way for us to do that so we can generate even more revenue?
They tried that, but I don't think that passed in the legislature. I'll have to talk to my judges about that.
Can you find
That's
that out?
Well, one thing they would have to sign an order to that, and I can't just automatically do that because these people have been judged, and the judges say you have to pay this, and then they say you have to pay this a month. So I can't just do this myself, you know.
I understand what you're saying. I'd like for you to check into it and see.
Okay.
I just think that's a way. I'm not saying, I understand exactly what you're saying.
Sure.
All I'm saying is with the revenue that we're needing, you know, right now, that might be a possible way for us to ask for some forgiveness for this and move forward.
Well, let me ask you this. How far back do you think is fair that we should do this? 10 years and then say back, or 5 years and then say back and say, you know, okay, if you had something.
Say 5 years and back. Warner, do you have something?
Can she stratify that as far as how much is different instruments? So it's 5 years back, how much is outstanding, 10 years back, how much is outstanding? See where the biggest impact would be.
Yeah, I guess what Warner's saying is how much do you actually owe from 5 years back? How much from 4 years, 3 years, 2 years, and just get a number there. And that way then we can make some determination. But what I'm saying is, I mean, at one time you were owed like $2 million. If I remember correctly, it was like $2 million.
Oh yeah, now there's no telling. I mean, you know.
So what I'm saying is to get some type of order for us to move forward. And let's just say that we collected, you know, let's say we're owed $4 million and we had the opportunity to collect, you know, even $500,000 of money that's not, you know, that hasn't been collectible. I know that's very difficult, but I mean, at these hard times, we're just looking for anything that we can, we can do.
Well, I think my cost collections department, they could do that because they work on old cases also, not just the ones that are, you know, going on right now. They also work when they have time on older cases. And so I think that they could do that. It's just me getting a judge to sign an order for that. I'll talk to them about it. Right now they're trying to get a order from the Supreme Court for the Supreme Court to let them open us up completely. The Supreme Court is a big problem. I'll just tell you that, and they're doing it because I guess the way they should, but we've submitted a plan, or we didn't, the judge did, our presiding judge, and they've got to approve that before we can completely open. And then I can start really collecting more money. See, my state troopers hadn't even been writing tickets. They've just started writing tickets back now because we've opened back up, and Jay's told them, go for it, you know, because we can take your tickets.
I guess what I'm trying to say is on your 45,520 line item, you got 360,000. You've got a reduction of 29,000. I mean, is that a good number, or is that Is that something that we even need to reduce more?
No, I've talked to Gail and Jay both, and we really feel like when we open back up, it's gonna be, I mean, they're talking like 5, 6 days a week because we're so far behind.
Okay.
So that means a lot more money, you know, it's just that we've just been, the Supreme Court's just had us locked in.
And do you see anything on there that she's reduced it? So I think, you know, except for the collections, which I think collections solved. Okay, let's go on down to your budget there,
One
Kathy. Go
question.
ahead, Ann.
There aren't any statutes of limitations on any particular groups, are there?
No,
Okay, that's good.
no.
That's what we're just trying to.
A lot of people think when they come out of prison, they don't have to pay, but we get them and tell them that, yeah, you do pay. You were supposed to be in prison and you also have to pay when you come out. So,
Okay, Kathy, here's what we're doing on the 3.46. We're reaching out to Chris Todd and the legislature to see if that's something that's that we have to do. Nothing personal. We love you. We want you to have as much money as possible there, but that's something we're trying to, you know, look at. Now, talk to me about these deputies that you've reduced 13,500. Is there something there in 106? Is that something you moved to part? You had moved that to part-time?
yes, I did move that to part-time, but then I have moved it back. I don't see, Michelle, did you show where I moved it back?
No, I didn't know that you were moving it back.
What'd she say?
I wasn't aware that you were moving it back, but I will move it right now.
No, I mean, wasn't I supposed to move it back to take care of the last June paycheck to make sure everybody got paid?
Different budget.
Now, this is a different budget year.
Oh, okay, sorry, okay. I have furloughed and laid off my part-time to help the county. So I've already done away with that.
Okay, let's go on down here and see, is there, I know, wait a second, jury and witness, is that something, I know I know what you're gonna say on this, but is that something that we have to put in the 60,000, or would we be better off coming back? We wouldn't, but Karen's shaking her head no, so I'm just out.
We did an amendment.
I know we did, but I'm just trying to.
Well, I've given it, I mean, I'll be giving back all that money. It set for 50,000. I paid the last jurors and 50,000 is what we've used. I think it's 51,000 and something.
So we got 60,000 in there, which was probably most likely you'll be able to end up using that for next year. I'm just trying to cover. Okay.
Well, really, there's 90,000 in there. Remember, I had to ask for it because of the fact that we were having so many trials, and it was unbelievable. And our trial stopped. Look, our trial stopped in what?
Right.
February, and I used $50,000 of that. So if we'd have gone until June, I would have used probably 90,000.
Well, let's go ahead and just start with a 60.
Okay,
And
that's
that way
fine.
we can cut. I know you're going to end up using understand your situation. You and I've had this discussion.
Yeah. I can't help it. I mean, maybe we won't. I don't know. I hope everybody just pleads guilty and goes home.
I got it. So,
I'll be happy.
okay. Anything on it? Okay. Data. Wait.
You had some comments there. What are the,
Okay.
What, over here?
no, on up, you had another one right there, 34030, you have a comment.
Those are the data process, which you didn't have anything. in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
That's for this year.
Okay.
okay. Let's just
There's
see
one
if
right
there's
there, too.
anything else.
Under travel.
Okay, Kathy, I
Yes.
see you got office supplies at 29. Is there a way for you to reduce that?
If you will look, I have stayed to my budget just about ever since I have been clerk. I run 4 full-time courts. There is no way I can go any lower than 29,000. If you look at my budget now, I'm hanging on by a shoestring. I mean, 29,000 for 4 courts is pretty good. because you look at everybody else's supply budgets and they haven't got 4 full courts. And it's unbelievable what we use.
Let me ask you this. What would your plans be if we had a extreme coronavirus here in October and you had
Yeah.
to close down for 2 months? What would your plans be there? Would you furlough people? Would you, tell me what you got in mind there.
Well, if we did that, I would go to Skeleton Cruise like I did before, and let them, because see, we have piles of mail that come in, and so somebody's got to work. We have worked behind the scenes the whole time, and I would go to Skeleton Cruise, and they would have to work every other day and do the mail.
Okay, so you'd have people from 5 days down to 3 days, let's say.
Probably 3. Yeah, 3.
Okay. Very good. I'm just trying to get some kind of idea of what the impact would be on that. I think you see where I'm headed on that. I'm just trying to get that. Okay, let's go on down, Michelle, just a little bit more. Okay, and then scoot over there a little bit. Okay, now you cut only 1/16, 1.16. Is there anything else that you can do to get down to 3%?
Well, I mean, you look, I've only got 4 line items. I don't know what to cut. There's nothing to cut. I wish there were. I wished I had been maybe the county official that padded their budget like crazy all these years, but I've never done it. I've always just stuck to what I was supposed to, to do. And because you and I have talked about that, and I was going to tell you, I've talked to, Blount County is a slightly larger county than we are. He has 47 employees. Sevier County is a smaller county than I am, and she is a resort county, but she doesn't have I-40 running through the middle of her county, and she has 31 employees. I'm working with 21 employees. That's it. And we're doing it by the hair of our skin, I can tell you that. And so, and I have told you over and over, Doug, you said, Kathy, do you need more people? And I said, I've told you we're doing the best we can. And when we need more people or whatever, I'll come to you. And so I'm just working with what I have. But if you take something away from me, I'm going to be in trouble. I really am.
Warner, you got anything?
No, I don't think so.
Do it.
I don't think so. It's gonna be very hard to cut it.
I mean, I've really, really tried to keep everything down to over these years. I've just never padded my budget. I just hadn't. You've always told me, don't do it.
We'll just take a look at it and see. Got to think about it a little bit, but I agree with you. I mean, I know you're down to, you and I have had that conversation.
Could you have a training class for some of these other people?
You have a training to do what now, Warren?
Training class for some of the other people.
Training class for the, yeah, that'd be nice. Wouldn't it? Yeah, it'd be nice.
I know one that needs a training class.
Okay. Karen, anything? You good? Okay. Kathy, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, we got Lori Nunnery on the line. Am I home?
Yes. Perfect.
Thank you, Amy. I want to sound a little authoritative.
You are.
Okay, Lori,
Yes, sir.
I have Ann White here, Warner, and Jason on the line, so we're good to go. Let's chat here. First question I'm going to ask you. What we did, we put hotel motel tax, we put in 50%, and then we saw yesterday, or according to, as the city up that or whatever, give me some kind of indication on what we need to be doing there.
If they have upped it, they have not told me that. I'm not aware of that. But all of our communications have been at about 50%.
50%? Okay.
Yes.
Just wanted to make sure. Okay. Yesterday I talked to the chamber about, contributions and things like that. Is there, we got 50,000 in there right now on 316. Is there a way to make that quarterly, or could we push that out until next spring? Or just talk to me a little bit about that. Tell me.
We're flexible. We certainly understand the position the county's in, and we'll do whatever we have to do.
What if we put it at 0?
I will cry, but it will be okay.
Well, I'm not saying put it at 0 right now and then come back. I guess I hate the word come back, but I
do too, because you're
I know
looking at.
Karen hates to come back.
I certainly understand the position that the county is in. Just to give you kind of an update of where we are, we're going to finish this year. We're going to make it through till June, and then working on our budget for next year. It is, we've cut out everything. There's no trade shows, the advertising budget's cut down, and down the road, if this continues more than what we're expecting, then we'll have to also look at staffing. I'm going to be taking a pay cut and possibly furloughing a day, just because of, we got to do what we got to do to keep this organization going forward.
Okay, here's what I feel like we need to do.
Okay.
Let's bump down the contribution down to 25,000.
Okay.
And then what we're going to do on downtown development, I tell you what we'll do. We'll look at about let's put 7,500 in there.
That's a different organization. You're meeting with them
I don't
on
care
Friday.
really. I'll put it in there right now.
Okay.
I don't care. I'll tell them later. Okay, I just want to let them know what we're doing. I understand that. I'm just saying. Okay, and then what we'll do, we'll come back and take a look at this later and sort of see. I just don't know what else to tell you, Lori. You and I have talked a couple times, so.
I understand.
Well, Lori,
Yes.
you have any projections from anyone as how much they think you're going to lose on the shutdown as far as the motel tax is concerned?
Yeah, we expect those numbers to be about 50%. Actually, we're looking at March numbers to be at 10%, March, April, May, and June to be all at 10%. Then starting to get some movement on that, hopefully in July and August, but only going up, to about 15% of operations. So, and our challenge is, people are not going to be traveling like they used to. And so, a lot of our focus has been on our surrounding states, the Atlanta market, St. Louis market, in Louisville, and just, around us. We're going to be taking what funding we do have marketing wise and concentrating that more in state, because people are more likely to travel in state than they are from an outside state. So we expect this to be a long impact, unfortunately, on us. And if there is a resurgence in it, it will be, even more detrimental to what's going on.
Is also still true, they don't think you won't have any travel ball this year?
And Jason could probably speak to this better than me. I think they're reevaluating that consistently. And last I heard, Jason, was they were looking at June, I believe, as a potential. But I think what the challenge is nobody's been practicing. So it's, you know, it's going to be a different kind of beast.
I just know that brings in a few dollars out there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think one of the things we're also going to see an impact on is our meetings travel, because just like we're meeting virtually today, I think people will be doing that they're more comfortable with it now. And so I think that can impact our meeting room space, because we have a tremendous amount of solid business travel and meeting rooms. And it will impact that, at least short-term wise. I would like to think that we'll get back to where people are traveling more, but it's just going to take some time, because people are, they're concerned, as they should be.
Okay. Lori, anything else?
Well, the one thing I want to make sure that each of you know is we're continuing to work on the Great Wolf Lodge project. Some people may have been led to believe by some of the media that is dead. It is not. We're having biweekly meetings on that. That project is still moving. There have been, a little bit of changes, but nothing that we wouldn't expect in a situation like this. So we've even seen a site plan. So I want to make sure that people know that project is still moving forward. And we appreciate the county's support in making that happen, because it was really a great thing when we could go forward to Great Wolf Lodge and say, hey, our city and county passed this unanimously. That was pretty profound, that it showed our community support. So right now, where we are is we're waiting on the legislation that hopefully, as Nashville is opening back up the legislature is, we'll get that put through. And then it'll come back to the county and the city to pass that legislation. And then it's on, what did they say? On like Donkey Kong. I mean, that we're continuing to move forward with that. And here's the other thing I want to make sure that is last year in 2019, we grew by 10%. And I want you guys to take credit for that, because the additional funding that you've been putting into us, we've been reinvesting in marketing and advertising for us, and it's making a difference. And so even though we're going to have to scale back and really rein it in tight, which is okay, we'll make it happen. I want you to know that money is being put to good use in marketing our community. We had over 7 million media impressions. We've come a long way in the last 4 years since the commission started investing us. And I want to thank you for that, because it's made a huge difference in our operations. I can talk for 3 more hours. I've got blocked out. Okay.
Okay. We're ready for David Blackwood for the Basin Authority.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, David, for being
Good
here.
morning. Thanks for having me. Well, what do we want to talk about here? I see your shared screen, and I have what the Basin Authority is working on and provides for Madison County every year. And I don't know who in the room is familiar with what we do, but just as an overview, in the 4-year period ending 2022, we'll have put $11.5 million into flood control kind of stuff in Madison County, in addition to all the maintenance we do on the Middle Fork and South Fork, Fork Deer Rivers. So we average about $500,000 we spend in Madison County each year. And I believe our county request letter this year was for that 82 too. So, what are you guys thinking? And
well, I realize everything you do. It's just our situation is such that we're scrambling around here.
Yeah, I understand definitely the situation you guys are in and projections and things like that. The issue we run into is this is it's a contribution amount, you know, that allows the county to be considered a full contributor.
Sure.
And if the county falls out as a full contributor, they lose priority listing. So they move down the list a little bit. And some projects we have that we're pursuing and think we're still in line for. We got the park at Three-Way that we're building, the 850 acres, 5 miles of trail, fishing lake, all that's under construction. There's an additional $1 million boardwalk. It's about a mile long that we're working with TWRA to get installed. For those things, we have to have match money and being able to show we have local match because the state's kind of going through the same exercise. So, I just say all that to say anything you can leave, I think it's money well spent. And I heard mention of the great.
I'm not disagreeing with anything you're saying. We've had that discussion about that out there. I think it's really worthwhile. The thing is, I'm looking at is about $60,000 just for one time this year, just because of our situation. We're scrambling, David, as best we can. So that's sort of what I'm looking at.
Got to do what you got to do, I guess. I did want to mention the Great Wolf Lodge. We have a lake on that property that we'll be rehabbing and redoing as part of all that. And Madison County really sets the tone. So, I mean, if you're losing priority listing, I would really think about if that 20,000 is.
I understand exactly what you're saying. I just have to make we have to make some hard calls here. And it's just
now, if we could get to.
What I'm saying, let me finish this. What I'm saying is if after we get done with all this isn't in granted, David. Let us take a look at it and sort of see where we are and let us prioritize on our end. But what we're trying to do is cut things down to worst case scenario where we are, and then we could come back and maybe add. But right now we're just scrambling, trying to make sure that we, the least amount of furloughs in the future we'd have to do, whatever we have to do. Now, everything you're doing is, like I said, once again, I'm going to repeat, it's worthwhile. Everything you're doing is excellent. Great Wolf Lodge, we're really counting on that. I understand. And what we try to do with that 107,200 that we estimated, we see the benefits of this. The problem is our situation is such that right now we can't do what we'd like to do.
Now I will, if I can interject, so we were at the 82.2, if I think we could get to like a 67. We have some cooperative work we do with JEA. So, we may be able to bring in, we have an agreement with them for about 15,000 of materials. We may be able to
put 67 in there, and that way, if you can do that, that'll be workable.
And that'll give me a chance with my board to say, we've got Madison County fully contributing.
Okay, so that sounds good.
Through different sources.
Okay, David, thank you very much. We'll get back to you if anything changes.
All right, thank you much.
Thank you.
the sheriff department.
Yeah, we're gonna take a break for about
Transfer
10
one
minutes
account to
here,
another account.
and we'll be back. Hopefully, we're gonna have Mike
Back to
Smith
money
come
back
in
the account. They
for
moved about that.
Southwest,
Exactly.
hopefully at 10 o'clock, when we were supposed to take a break. And then we got drug court, airport, and you Hardy with general sessions 1 before lunch. Just make y'all aware of that. Okay, thank you.
Hey, Tommy, we got you connected to the meeting now. I'll just let you keep your phone on speaker, and you can just click the mute and unmute button on your end if you have anything to say.
Okay, thank you. Hello?
Yes.
Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, okay, okay. I wasn't hearing anything, so I didn't know.
Tommy, they're on a break for a few minutes.
I'm sorry, you said what?
I said they're on a break for a few minutes.
Sit down for what?
They are on a break.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, Tommy, I can.
Yes. Loud
Okay, thank you.
and clear.
Okay, thank you.
Let me chat with them for just 1 second. Hey, Harold, Tommy, Jason,
Yeah,
can y'all?
I'm here.
Do y'all have any questions before, we start the next round? Y'all got any questions or anything, so we can, I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page.
If you're
Oh, this
still
is
the-
Tommy. I don't have any.
Okay. Harold, you got anything?
No, sir. No question at this point. If I have any, I'll holler. Thank you, though.
Okay, thank you. Jason?
I'm good right now.
Good. Well, I'm gonna give all of y'all a group side hug.
6 feet apart.
Yeah, 3 feet apart, 3 feet apart. Good. I just wanted to make sure you understood everything where we are. So we'll start with Mike. Where are we? Can you pull up that Southwest?
You can. No, you can. You got it. So
Stacy, get over there.
She knows how to run it. That's small sword. Yours.
Lady, you know where.
Doug, can you hear me? This is Tommy.
Yes, sir. I can hear you.
Okay.
Hey, Commissioner Gobble, if you don't mind, click the mute button on your phone. That way we're getting some background noise from your line.
I can get one made for you. I tried to find mine this morning, but thank you.
Gotta do what we gotta do. How, can you go down real quick? Can we see the revenues and expenses? You're gonna be mad at me.
Is that better, Matt?
Yeah, that was better.
Matt, are we supposed to be hearing anything right now?
We are not. We're waiting on
Okay.
Carol Copley in
Okay.
drug court. Morning, Steve. We're just waiting on drug court to get online or to show up, and we'll get started.
So we're waiting on, somebody, the head of one of these departments, is that right?
That is correct.
Harold, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I hear you fine.
I was gonna plant my garden, but I think I'll kill hogs now.
Bob
Okay.
Harrell.
Okay,
Mr. Smith, can you hear us?
You may have.
I'm sure that he probably.
Good morning, this is Mike.
Hey, Mike.
Let's see, 89 and 90, we had already moved the road.
Guys, thank you, Mike, for getting on. I'm sorry we had difficulty there.
Well, it's okay. Sorry for the inconvenience.
Not a problem. Just want to ask you one thing about your budget. We got
Okay.
10,000 in there. Is that a membership fee? Explain that to me a little bit.
How we came up with that, in 1973, the Tennessee state legislature established a network of human resource agencies across Tennessee. And as a part of that act, it said that Tennessee government, state government would contribute a sum of money to for the operation of the HRA network, and that the cities or that the counties that were served would contribute a certain amount based on a per capita assessment. Now that assessment for us has been 13 cents. Last year, our board of directors met and looked at that, and the statewide average on a per capita assessment is about 17 cents. So they felt it necessary, based on my recommendation, to stage that up from 13 to 16 and do that over 3 years. We're currently looking at a 14 cents per capita assessment for each one of our counties, and that's based on your population. They did cap Madison counties at $10,000, and that's where we came up with the $10,000 amount. I hope that explains somewhat how that works, but the appropriation from the state and the appropriation from the counties allows us to match federal dollars that we do in our grant programs. Our appropriation from the state's about $140,000, and then we do a per capita assessment for each one of the counties.
Mike,
Madison County.
Let me interrupt you. So are you saying from the state, you said $140,000? Do you feel like that's pretty firm now, or is that going to be something that you're going to a little concerned about because of all our situation?
Well, we're pretty confident that will stay at that amount. We have had discussions. We met earlier with Department of Human Services, who the state allows to funnel that money through. They've included in their budget request to the governor, and the governor included that in his budget. Of course, you know, they're going back in June to relook at all of that, but we have had no indication that will be affected. We're in a recurring line item of the state budget, so we have to make that request annually, but we have had no indication that that's going to be affected. We'll just have to wait and see.
So what we've got is we're just going to put the 10,000 in there. That's what I wanted to hear from you on where we were. So
yeah,
that's what we're going to do.
Okay.
So I'll let you know. We're not voting on anything today, Mike, but we'll let you know, moving forward where we are. But I feel pretty good.
Okay. Well, our total operating budget here is about $37 million, and that appropriations from the county and the state really does help us to match those grant dollars. Okay. As you know, we don't have the ability to tax. So we have to raise our funds through grants, and a lot of those grants have to be matched. So it's critically important to us. That money is, it helps us to stay operating and help the people that we do. And I appreciate your consideration.
Thank you, Mike, so much. We appreciate you. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions?
No, sir.
Okay. Y'all have a good day.
Yes, sir. Okay, Carol, you're up.
Yeah.
We'll get you pulled up here in just a minute.
Well, mine's not any
You can sit down over here, Carol, so that way they can hear you. We got people on the Zoom. That way they can hear you and everything, so
Sorry.
it's okay. We still love you. We like you a lot better than we do Bridget.
I
That
will
was on-
tell
that
her.
was on mute.
I meant to wear my glasses. Yes, now what we got a new grant, and that's the Family Centered Services Grant. And for this coming year, that will be 47, where was that? There they are there, sorry. 43,700. That's the Family Centered Services. And that is where we work not only with the participants, but with the families of the participants and extended families and what they call families. It might be that they have a really good support group of friends or significant others that is not your traditional family, but they are there, they support that person, they help care for children and that kind of thing. So the services extend to them in mental health, in A&D treatment if those people need it, child care services, rent if they're struggling. We had a lady that has 2 children that we paid her rent for her when she was between jobs and struggling. There's a cap that the team has worked out on with people. Another lady, we purchased her a stove. She had left an abusive relationship. Her hours were cut down at work. She had gotten her an apartment and was feeling really independent, but it didn't have a stove, and she had 3 children that lived with her, and she was cooking on a 2-burner hot plate. So through these services, we were able to get her a stove, and she said, "I can't wait to make cornbread." So that's just a wonderful part of, and then because they are required to do specific things, go to certain treatments, and their families go, and we have a class that teaches them how to interact as a family unit. So that's the Family Centered Services Grant that we're real excited about. It's a pilot program that we were one of 5 in Tennessee that got. So then we got an additional 60,000 on our regular drug court grant that had been at 70,000. So we're up at 130,000.
Is that state or federal?
That's state. That's a state grant. The Family Centered Services is a pilot federal that the state of Tennessee got. So it gets convoluted.
Pass through the state.
Yes, yes. But the enhancement grant allowed us to hire another employee that will also do working with participants, do groups, lots of the things that I do. But we have gotten up to, at that point in time and until COVID, 19, we were running at like 40 people. And that's a lot for one person to do all the assessments and all of that.
How's that compare with the last 2 years or 3 years?
An increase of the first 3 years that I was here, I'm in my 4th year now. The first 3 years that I was here, we did good to have 20 people in both our recovery boards.
You have how many now?
And right now we have 30, but that's dropped because people that left because of COVID-19 said we haven't done anything since March as far as bringing anybody in or anything, so we couldn't replace them. We had to stop doing assessments because we couldn't go into the jails. We couldn't have people in. So we look for when this is lifted and we can begin again going right back up. And we've got a veterans court track that we're hoping to expand as
It
well.
just seems like a lot more people on drugs for the last year than it was 2 or 3 years ago. You know, they may not get off of them, but no, they need to.
Yes. And by expanding the services, we're able to offer people that were not, didn't have the opportunity before. Because free services, believe it or not, are real hard to come by. You know, and speaking as a person in recovery myself, you know, 20 years ago, and it's gotten worse now, 21 years ago, almost 22. You know, by the time I went into treatment, if it hadn't been free, my mama would have had to pay for it, and my mama wasn't about. She was fed up. And I have seen, you know, I was offered the free service, and then when I went to work, I was able to save my money so that when I left treatment, I went for 6 months. When I left treatment, I had money to begin to be responsible. I could put down an apartment. I purchased a car, you know, that kind of thing. And that's what we try to do with the recovery.
How many people you have in your program again?
Right at 30 now.
30. Is that pretty full right now? Is that the maximum that you can take?
No, I think our maximum is 40.
40.
But when we rewrite for this, for the next year coming up, I imagine we will extend that.
Don't you see that coming where you're going to be adding more participants based on, after talking to Jody Pickens yesterday, he's like, we're going to be offering more and more programs to try to eliminate recidivism, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
I sort of see that.
Yeah, and I look for that, and we are, now that we've gotten an additional employee, I can do a lot of, and Rebecca at the state's aware of this too. We had that veterans track, and we had like 10 at one point in time, and they graduated and this and this. And I can concentrate more on that. And what we want to do is get the veterans court built up and training and everything so that we can
I
get
ask one
funding
question
for a
about that?
veterans court.
One question about that is, are they coming, I guess, I'm not saying this correctly, Carol, are you having veterans that want to, based on their experience, probably like based on your experience, to come back and help someone that's needy at this point? In other words, I graduated from the program as a veteran. Are you having some success with those veterans coming back and wanting to help other people? Am I saying that correctly?
Well, it hasn't been long enough for,
Okay.
but one of the things that we do have is veterans that are mentors.
That's sort of where I was.
You know,
Yeah.
and they are from Buck, forget his name other than Buck. He is in charge of the mentors. And like, we had a female veteran, and she was assigned a female mentor veteran. And a combat veteran will be assigned someone that has seen action or combat.
Okay. That's
And-
what,
and
that's
they're
what I had.
wonderful.
That's what I
Those
just wanted to
veterans are
understand.
wonderful. Mhm,
Sort of wanted to see where we are.
mhm.
Well, Carol, I think this looks fine, and we'll just, we'll just go from there. Michelle, Karen, y'all got any questions?
You tell Rebecca I said to give all the money to Madison County and not to the city of Jackson. I
Carol?
groomed her when she first started, so. yeah.
Thank you, I
Yes.
will.
You pass it along,
I
Rebecca, and say, Karen did
will.
the county, now give all the money to the county.
Okay. Okay, I will send that
Yes,
along.
yes.
Carol, thank
Bless
you so much.
Thank you. You are so welcome, and thank you.
Thanks, Miss Carol.
Uh-huh.
Have a good day.
Uh-huh. We also have that $20,000.
Thank you, Carol.
Have a good one.
Uh-huh, you too.
Okay, Steve, we have you and Cindy on there.
We're here, sir.
Okay, very good. I'll let you pontificate for a minute and just tell us what's going on, and then we'll go from there.
Well, I think everybody knows that the airport has run as an essential business. We've been here every day. We've worked every day. We've been able to hold on to all of our employees but one, which was in the maintenance side. We opted not to replace him during this current downturn that we're in. The airline is still flying every day, even though the passenger count has come way down. The airline industry in itself is kind of in a free fall. However, we are looking for corporate aviation to bounce back pretty quick when we get into the reopening of the economy in the next couple of weeks. The issues that we are facing, the budget that we have given you is basically the same budget that you had last year. There may be a couple of $100, I think, or $900 or something. About $1,000 difference, and that's just in what we found out we didn't quite budget for right last year, I think. As many of you know, a couple of years ago when we bought the fixed-based operation here, to maintain our balanced budget, we've tried to maintain a very steady budget with the county, the same amount that we've had, and a lot of it, as you know, we pay the county back for a great deal of that. We've used the fixed-based operation as the engine to generate that money on the amount of about $140,000 to $145,000 a year out of the fixed-based operation. In the month of April, the fixed-based operation just lost $39,000. So I don't know how much longer that can go on. Our thought process is, though, to continue with the budget that we have, try to make the balance up. We've just recently been, all of the general aviation airports and some of the larger airports were all given grants out of the CARES Act. McKellar has been approved for $69,000 to help pay payroll and maintenance costs for the month of May. I believe that money will come in for us. We also do think that we have some money in our fund balance, and so our goal is to continue doing what we're doing, but we have really backed off on our spending and on our maintenance costs, and for the next couple of 3 months, maybe 4 months, be as frugal as we can to see where this thing is going. I appreciate everything that the county does for us, Cindy does too, and our employees do too, and we'll just keep doing what we do and try to do it a little bit better, a little more efficient.
Okay. Anybody got any questions for Steve? Steve, this looks good. Just thank you so much for all your hard work. Thanks even for Cindy even having to be married to Mike. That's good.
Well, that was her choice. Bless her heart. I do see. I don't see Matt there, but I appreciate what you all do. Is Matt in there anywhere? Is Matt in the room?
No,
he's not there. he's kind of made all of these meetings for us possible, as I know he has y'all. And I do think that the decision made a couple of years ago to fund an IT department for the county has been one of the best things that's come in to help the airport, because it's really been a good program for us. We appreciate you guys, and if you have any questions, we're always here.
Thank you, Steve. I appreciate that.
All right,
Thank you,
guys.
Steve, so much. Appreciate you, Cindy. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, we're just waiting on Judge Hardy. I don't know if he's gonna show up here. Can we do get a little cooler? I feel like I'm having
turned it down and saying,
Oh,
Michelle, you're cooking us all, sweetie.
are you cold, huh?
She was earlier this morning.
Feel like a stuffed pig. Well, muted.
Oh,
Right now, we're waiting on you, Harvey, to get here for 10:15 to 11 o'clock. So that's what we're waiting on. So just want to make you aware, if you want to skip out and then come back on or whatever, just to make you aware of where we are. Thank you.
I didn't know where you.
here's what we're doing.
Okay.
I took that out, and I think you understand why.
I just did.
Now, what we're doing too is, and no, this is no reflection on the great job you're doing. The 1.54, we're checking with that to see if that's, do we have to do that or not?
Yeah, you do.
I certainly don't mind. That's where we are.
It's just state law.
Yeah, I know. So that's what we're trying to see. Now, basically, the thing I'm telling you is the 5% there, and let's see what else we got.
I didn't change anything.
I see you got an increase there, and basically what's that is we got a lot of insurance increase in dental. I would assume people may have changed plans
It
or
looks like somebody.
something like that. So
took out
there's really not anything we can, do about that. But the main thing I wanted you to see was we cut that 5%, which is,
I was expecting.
yeah.
But I have to tell the people.
Well, yeah, you can just tell them. Now, the thing that what I'm telling every department, and this is not, I'm not being, and you're in a little bit different, you're a little bit different animal, so to speak, but I feel like I'm doing you a disservice if I don't tell you this. Let's just say that we have another situation like this where we're out this fall for 2 months or whatever. I know you're going to be working some, but is there, are you going to be able to, if we had to cut, what procedures would you use to be able, would you have to furlough some people, or would you have to, I just want you to have that in mind. I'm not asking you to do it. I'm just asking you to have some thought process about it.
That I can do, I could let the part-time worker go.
Well, I just want you to have that in your mind. I'm not saying we're going to have to do it. I feel good that we're going to be able to go raise back up, but I don't want to. Now, one of the things we talked about, Karen, correct me if I'm wrong, we talked about looking at a COLA, a cost of living increase, if just based on where we are. But I just don't know what.
That's where my thing comes from.
Right.
There's some stats like a full paragraph of all the formula, how they do it.
And that's what we're looking at. So I just wanted to make you aware of our thought process. And then I wanted to really pass that on about the 30%. I mean, if things just cratered, what are we going to do there? So that's what I wanted to make you aware of. So
yeah,
that's pretty much where we are.
Well,
you're doing a great job, and I appreciate it. Now, let me ask you one question. Do y'all, and I talked to Jody yesterday, I want to make sure that I'm understanding the census at the jail now is about 317. Y'all have done a tremendous job about getting people out instead of the 500 something. Do you see that continuing, or is that something that's are y'all looking at any kind of processes, or is this something that's just a one-time thing?
No, the numbers will pick up on a nightly basis, which if we ever get back going, because right now, if somebody doesn't pay their fines and costs, we haven't been arrested up to that. So once that cracks back up, I'm gonna be seeing more people, but that resolves like the next morning. So it's like an overnight stay. As far as sentencing people, the more time I know.
Okay, let me ask you.
We have some mandatory things.
Let me ask you.
And domestic stuff. No.
Let me ask you one more thing, just to finish up. Is there anything that we can do on the legislative side to help you? I know we're working on this jail and doing all that, but is there anything else that we can do that would be beneficial to you?
Just in my regular work.
Okay. I was hoping you would say that, but I'd be due.
We got approved to where we can start seeing cases that aren't in jail. But we can only have 10 people in the courtroom at once. And this coming up in June, we've got a docket call of 250 cases. And I got to figure all this out. And all these people that have been arrested that we met.
Yeah, you're gonna be meeting like 6 days a week there.
No, we'll just never catch it.
Okay.
It can't be done.
Okay.
It's like in line at the grocery store and they shut the line down. Then the next day, some more people come in and get the same line. I don't know how it's there. I was talking to somebody in Shelby County today. You can imagine what they're like.
Oh, that's unbelievable. Well, I just wanted to, appreciate you driving out here, and I wanted to show you that and wanted to express those couple things. So.
Y'all got it tough.
Yeah, we're having fun. We're having
It's
fun
tougher
right
than
now.
it's ever been. And I know we've, our contributions, talking to Kathy, definitely dropped because we haven't been having
Right.
court.
I talked to her about that today, and we feel like that's going to come up. One of the things we talked about, and I know this is probably not doable, but we asked her to go back for people that had owed money for 5 years and 4 years, 3, whatever. Put a number on that. Is there any way that we could do a certain percentage and say, look, instead of, I know this is what I would be doing in business. I would say if somebody owed $1,000 and said, well, instead of you owing $1,000, can we cut this down to $750 and you make a substantial payment right now, especially on these with these stimulus checks?
If it could be done, I'd have to sign off on it.
Well, I'm saying, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I got one.
You see what I'm saying with the stimulus checks coming in? She said people were wanting to pay, but I was wondering
I
if
can
that would be.
always adjust stuff.
Do what now?
I can always yell at authority.
Well, I just threw that idea out because I thought, well, that's a good, if you're calling collections, just to
Don't
have.
they have a collections thing
Right.
they do?
So what I'm saying is she could be collected and say, well, the guy owes 1,000 and y'all come up with a percentage and
Yeah,
just say,
I got to find some cost out.
right.
I can start leaving stuff. There's
Right.
just a form that I can fill out the numbers and I just sign it.
But when Judy was here, she brought in a stack it was that tall. It was like over $2 million. So I'm saying if we even collected, 1/4 of that.
It probably helped back in the.
Oh, it goes way
Because
back.
of that driver's license.
Right.
thing.
Yeah.
But
It
that's-
goes way back.
That was some incentive. people to pay.
But that's something, I'm going to talk to her some more about that.
Yeah, I'll do whatever y'all need on that. That would not be a problem.
Well, I appreciate
It's
it.
better than that.
I know it. That's what I'm saying. Well,
Yeah,
thanks so much.
of it, you better take it. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I ain't got anything else.
Thank y'all so much.
Thank you so
Y'all
much.
have a good rest
Appreciate it, my
of the
friend.
week. Stay safe.
Yes, sir.
I'll go out this door.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate those
I will.
instructions.
We'll let you go out. We'll let you go out there. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Michelle's my savior over this stuff. I've got to get this Excel installed on
Oh,
my
my
computer. I'm all this chicken scratch.
It's okay.
Appreciate it.
That's the learning curve too.
Now, you see, I find that very interesting. I find that very interesting that we don't have, he's not aware that we had a collection.
That is.
That's unbelievable.
What?
He wasn't aware we had a collection. That's what
Surely.
he just said.
He did
He has
imply
three,
that.
she has 3 staff members that do the.
Well, he didn't know that.
No, he did. He may have forgot. I know Kathy's worked with him on it, so.
Well,
But he may not
but
realize
that
that's
was,
what.
that was a pretty easy fix just for him to sign off on all those.
He has that authority.
We need to do it now.
He has that authority.
Yeah, so we could get that lined up.
No.
I just said it. Okay, we need to adjourn.
No, 'cause we gotta come back at 1.
You have to break.
Oh, we're not adjourning. Okay, we'll be back at 1 o'clock. We're muting now. Thank you.